And we're going to use 3 plus the square root of z minus 6 equals the square root of z plus 9. The only difference between this problem and all the other examples I've given you is that this one has 2 radicals. First step is always going to be the same. You want to isolate one radical. Doesn't matter which one. So isolate a radical. Isolate means you want it by itself. Well, looking at this equation, do we have any radicals that are by themselves? Yeah, the one on the right? Okay, everybody agree? So this guy's already by himself. We're already isolating a radical. That's great. Next step is to do what? Okay, is that what you said, Anna? Yeah. And what's our power going to be? 2. Okay, so I'm going to raise the entire side, both sides, to a power of 2. The entire side. On the left side, we have a problem like you had for homework last night. This is the square of a binomial. Remember I say to rewrite this as 3 plus the square root of z minus 6 times 3 plus the square root of z minus 6 to make sure that we multiply it correctly. On the right side, what happened? Poof! So this is equal to z plus 9. Poof! Multiplying the left side, we have 3 times 3. You're going to need to use FOIL. Vince, what do we get? 3 times 3? 9. Maya, doing my outer, what do I get? Z minus 6. Good. Inside. Loren, what do I get? Good. And then my last terms, square root of z minus 6 times the square root of z minus 6. I'm going to rewrite this as z minus 6 squared equals z plus 9. Everybody with us? Okay, we're going to combine some like terms here. We have some like terms there, and I want to simplify this guy because my power is equal to my index. So I'm going to end up with what, Josh?
Square root of z minus 6.
Correct. And what do I end up with, Melissa, when I take the square root of z minus 6 squared? Just z minus 6. Okay. Combine like terms on the left side. You have like terms of 9 and minus 6 that you can combine. So we end up with 3 plus 6 square root of z minus 6 plus z equals z plus 9. Do not combine the 3 and the 6. Why can't we not do that? You're multiplying the 6 with the square root. So that 6 is attached to the square root. However you want to make sure that you don't make that mistake. Okay, so since we have 2 radicals in this equation, we have to start all over again. Yep, we're going to isolate our radical now. Got to do step 1 again. Yes. So to get this radical on the left side by itself, the 6 is with it, so we can't move the 6. But we can move this 3 by subtracting 3, and we can move the z by subtracting z from both sides. So on the left side, we end up with 6 square root of z minus 6. And on the right side, we end up with 6. How do I get rid of the radical? Raise it to a power equal to the index. So what am I going to raise it to? Okay, so both sides of the equation are going to be raised to the second power. right now we're just going to raise both sides to the second power. When you do that, make sure that you raise the 6 to the second power and your radical. You have two factors, they both have to be raised to the second power. So it should be written as 6 squared times the square root of z minus 6 squared equals, what do we have here? Which is 36. So on the left side, we end up with 36. And what happens right here? Poof. Poof. Power, index, both the same. So we're left over with z minus 6 equals 36. At this point, I probably would divide both sides by 36 because I can see that. I'm not sure. You can multiply it out. Let's finish it the way it is for right now, and then I'll go back and we'll show a different way of doing it. So we're going to multiply this out. 36 times z gives me 36z. 36 times 6. 216, good. Equals 36. You're solving a linear equation. You just need to get the z by itself. So 36z, adding 216 to both sides gives me 252. And then you're going to divide both sides by 36. Z equals 7.
Question.
Yes, Brianna.
I got 7 too, but...
So we have 3 people now that have asked the same question. So let's answer it. And see if I can show you both of them at the same time. Yep, where are we? Okay, so everybody's, or not everybody, but a lot of you are asking about back here. Right after we had isolated the radical, but before we had squared it. So back there we had 6 radical z minus 6 equals 6. So I'm going back to right here. Before we squared it. So we've isolated the radical. We're not squaring it yet. And Steve and Jerry and Brianna all go, well, there's a 6 on both sides of the equation. And 6 is a factor over here. Aren't we multiplying 6 times the radical? So I can divide both sides by 6. And by doing that, I simplify my fractions. Canceling out my 6's, I end up with a 1 here. I end up with a 1 there. And bringing it back up. Then I have the square root of z minus 6 equals 1. And then you can square both sides of the equation. Just makes it a little bit easier when you go to square. On the left side, you're going to poof. And you're left over with z minus 6. On the right side, we have 1. And we have smaller numbers that we're dealing with. Does everybody see the advantage of doing it this way? And then if you add 6 to both sides, you end up with z equals 7, which is the same answer that we had up here. So either way is right. You need to check your answer in the original equation. So let's go back up here to my original equation. Show it to you. Yeah. So back here in my original equation, you want to put a 7 in wherever you have a z. So checking. I'm going to put in 3 plus the square root of 7 minus z equals the square root of 7 plus 9. 7 minus 6 is the square root of 1. 7 plus 9 is the square root of 16. Square root of 1 is 1. Square root of 16 is, does 3 plus 1 equal 4? Answer, z equals 7.